Hello, social media fans. YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, whoever's watching and listening. It's Coach Larry again. How's everything going? Hope you're staying powerful. Today I want to talk about the importance of upgrading skills for for whatever business you're in. And let's face it, with with everything that's happening in technology and the markets and everything else, we need to constantly be on top of ourselves and make sure that we're able to do the things that need to be done as our skills need to increase because everything is constantly changing and constantly evolving. Now, one of and there's a lot of things that need to be done. Last video I talked about things that are as far as finding your direction and setting your goals. Another video I talked about strategy, upgrading your strategies. Today I want to talk about upgrading your skills. Let's face it, we all have skills that are useful and we're able to put into our businesses, both and in our lives. But we also sometimes, as things progress, our skills tend to become less effective, more obsolete. Just to give you a personal synopsis, one of the things I did back in 2001 is went back to college and and took courses in computer science and got an associate's degree. Even though I have a bachelor's in business, I took on an associate's degree in computer information systems, and I graduated there in 2001, months before the 9/11. I didn't really use that degree much, but it's good. It's good skill to have. But unfortunately, most of what I learned back then through DeVry is pretty much obsolete. Some exceptions. I mean, I know how to do the Microsoft Office and so forth, but a lot of the skills, Visual Basic, C++, whatever, there's been a lot of improvements, and I didn't keep up with those trends as much as I should have. But that's okay because I learned to do other things and that also managed to get me ahead. As a business owner, we all need to find, concentrate our efforts on the things that we excel in, that we're good at, but you want to make sure that the things don't that you have not the greatest skill in. Yes, you want to upgrade those skills, but you also, if you're able to afford it, delegate it to those that are better equipped at it than you are, as long as they're trustworthy. And if you get family members involved that believe in you, all the better. Now, one of the now there's a lot of skills that need constant attention. One of which is sales. I know what you're thinking. Salesmen are sleazy. Salesmen are this. That. It's not the salesperson that is sleazy, or I mean, a good professional salesperson is actually honest, forthright, and will guide you to something that will benefit you. The types of salespeople that people don't like, myself included, are the con artists, the sleazy people that will say and do anything just to make the sale, just to reach into your pocket and take whatever money you've got. And that's what I call very, sleazy, underhanded behavior. And we should basically steer clear of those kinds of people. Problem is that it's hard to tell the difference. You need to really be diligent. You don't want to miss out on opportunities simply because the other person is is calling you and trying to sell you something, look into what it is, find out if it's worth your time and effort and ultimately your money. Just to give you food for thought, in one of my last videos, I talked about Thomas Edison. I talked about something that happened in his childhood, where he was saving his mother's life, and he had to steal a mirror in order to put candles in front of it, so that there's enough light at night, so that a doctor can perform special surgery on his mother to save her life. And then he got in trouble for stealing the mirror because when he was trying to return it, he fell, it broke it, and of course he got caught. But what's interesting to note is that Thomas Edison was also a professional salesman. Yes, he was a brilliant inventor, but with the electric light, back then people couldn't understand what benefit would be in an electric light. We had candles and kerosene lamps and so forth that we carry around. What is an electric light going to do? Well, for one thing, it reduces the risk of fire if a lamp or a candle were to fall on the floor, and gosh, and heaven forbid, you got it's a carpeted room, or there's too much, or it hits paper, and a fire breaks out. Because people didn't understand the concept initially, one of the things that he did was very revolutionary. He went to and found a business that he furnished it with electric lights throughout the building, free of charge. And this way, they saw the benefit of it. Now, of course, bulbs do burn out, and you got to replace the bulbs. So he made his money back in bulb replacements. But more important than that, by showing the advantages, especially going into the night, people were able to get more work done, work longer hours if need be, and of course have the safety of the electric light versus continually lighting candles and worrying about fire. Now, as a result of this, people started to realize the value that way, and started taking they started taking it seriously. They took these and more businesses were starting to order electric lights for their establishments, and also branched out into residentials and all these things. And now everything is electric lights. There's also phonographs, but of course we know what happened. Since the advent of the phonograph record, they got CD. They had tape cassettes, CDs, um, and of course there was VCRs. There also was CDs, and then now everything is like you download your mainstream movies and music and whatever else, and pretty soon everything is digital. Alexander Graham Bell, another example. He invented the telephone, and in fact, Bell Labs, um, and all the it used to be AT&T, or called Ma Bell, and then of course diversify and go into all the baby bells plus AT&T, and now there's other phone companies that are out there. And then pretty soon, and then of course it went from rotary to digital, and then now we have cell phones and video conferencing and everything else. I mean, it's amazing what's possible. Even libraries, public libraries are becoming obsolete because of the internet. You got these search engines literally where you can literally get information on anything from from science to English to various languages to just about anything, and you streamline it, and you're able to learn at your own pace. Uh, Now, you also have to make sure that you have good leadership skills. Communicate clearly your ideas, your goals. Um, you need financial literacy. I mean, as an entrepreneur, we wear a number of different hats. You're you're a bookkeeper, you're an accountant, you're a salesperson, you're a plumber sometimes, or you're a maintenance engineer, you're an administrator, you're hiring employees, firing them sometimes. Um, you're a purchaser. You're doing whatever it is. If you're basically the chief cook and bottle washer. Now, owning your own business, I mean, of course, you got to solve problems, but owning your own business, you you're like on your own, but you don't have to be totally by yourself. There's lots of ways you can delegate responsibilities outside. Through the internet, there's Fiverr, there's various other things. Marketing is incredibly important for any business, and an online presence is getting more and more necessary. Now, another another thing that we're talking about developing skills. One of the most important skills for any business, no matter what it is, whether it's a service business, whether you're selling products, whatever it is, you need to be able to sell your product. You need to be able to sell yourself and sell the whatever product it is. And everything that's out there has been bought and or sold, you know, at least once or twice before actually being sold again, to the consumer or the end user, whoever that may be. And I know a lot of people have negative connotations when it comes to salespeople, that they're sleazy, that they're pushy, arrogant, whatever. And there are a lot that are. Don't get me wrong. But they're not all sleazy and arrogant. There are some that are, really quite genuine and really are out to do good. Yes, they of course want to make money and feed their families, just like all of us. But the thing is, you don't want to push off someone simply because he's a salesperson, because that then we become scumbags. What we do is, and like I say, everything is bought and sold, but especially if you're a business owner, you need to have, yourself and maybe a force out there selling whatever it is that you're offering. And the best way to do, and one of the things that you can do is you can upgrade your skills in that area. I've put in the show notes some books from book suggestions, I should say, in both physical and audible through Amazon, uh, with a couple of authors that are out there, uh, talking about sales. There's Jeffrey Gitomer, uh, as well as Jeb Blunt. He wrote some really good ones. I which I of course have downloaded on my Audible as well as my Kindle, and I read those. And like I say, you need to hone the craft, because let's face it, everybody let's face it, every business needs to sell in order to survive. There's also, but I mentioned the upgrade of technology. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is also amazingly important, especially now that AI is used so frequently that you need to, be skillful at it. Now, there's a lot of AI platforms. ChatGPT is just one of many that are, that are used. Even college kids, high school kids, use AI to write essays, term papers, and things like that. And you can use it to write letters. You can use it to write articles. All these different things that are done with AI. But I mean, it's also only as good as the person, programming it and putting in the prompts. And you want to proofread before putting it out. That's very important. Now, with AI, you also want to upgrade your skills. There's certain books that I put down that I put out in the show notes, also through Amazon and Audible, that you could don't that you could buy the book or download onto a Kindle or your Audible, and listen and read and listen to what these authors are saying, and get it ingrained in you. And it's important because, let's face it, you need you need these skills. People are afraid that AI is going to take away jobs. It'll take away jobs from people who are not proficient in AI, because there's a lot of jobs out there that pretty soon will become obsolete. I remember an episode of The Twilight Zone where there was this company that was laying off workers because the assembly line people in the factory were being replaced by machines, and robots were becoming more, because, let's face it, you don't have to pay them a salary. They don't take breaks. You don't pay them for lunch. They don't take vacations. It's cheaper. And the head of personnel that was there firing everybody, later on at the end of the episode, got replaced by a robot himself. And he was at a bar, lamenting with everybody that he's fired, that he himself was replaced by a machine. So machines can be our friends or they can be our enemy. We need to we need to learn how to work with the machines and make ourselves, let's say, invaluable, so that we can work and run the machines and and become proficient, so that our skills don't become obsolete. Now, back in 2001, I told you that I got a degree in computers information systems, and I didn't really upgrade then, but now as I said, putting up, uh, I'm learning more and becoming more proficient in AI and AI platforms, so that at least, no matter what, no problem. And I recommend that for everybody. And I, again, have some, look in the show notes for some suggested reading or listening through Amazon and Audible. Um, if you like what you've been listening to and watching, Please feel free to like and subscribe to this channel. And also check out some of the other videos that I'm putting up to on this video to see what's, so that you can gain more and better insight. Again, unleash your powerful self and just stay powerful.